It was with great sadness that I learnt this week of the passing of the Godfather of British Blues, John Mayall, at the grand old age of 90. And it would be fair to say that his influence over rock music, blues music, electric guitar is absolutely incalculable. But rather than pay tribute to his sterling career in this video, I'd like to pay attention to and praise an often overlooked album, his first solo album, if you'd like, the first one without the tagger of the Blues Breakers, and it's John Mayall's Blues from Laurel Canyon, which just happens to be my favorite John Mayall album. And stay tuned to the end because I'll let you know what my other four in the top five are. This was recorded in 1968 in England, and it was a concept album of sorts because it documented and it was a travelogue of his time that he spent in Los Angeles for 2 weeks and the sights, the sounds that he picked up then. Gone along with the Blues Breakers title were the horn players that had worked so significantly on Crusade and Bare Wires. And for this album, Mayall assembled a crack band of 4 musicians: Colin Allen on drums, Stephen Thompson on bass, the mercurial Mick Taylor for his third and final recording with John Mayall on guitar, and of course Mayall himself on organ, keys, lyrics, and vocals. There's a wide variety of sounds, textures, and emotions used on this album, and that's because potentially that John Mayall used his full aural palette of key signatures here, with the exception of F sharp. In fact, he uses 11 different key signatures, with only the ubiquitous blues in E being doubled up. So why is this my favorite album, and why is it high time to reappraise and enjoy Blues from Laurel Canyon one more time? Let's find out. Side 1 takes off quite literally with the sound effect of a jumbo jet rolling along the tarmac and then soaring up into the sky, wending its way across the Atlantic towards Los Angeles. Colin Allen gives us some rapid-fire drumming which underpins Mayall's organ at this point, giving us that sense of flight. And Stephen Thompson brings in the bass before Mayall starts singing. 10 hours in a plane, England left behind. Here in LA, wonder what I'll find. And then it's over to the rock guitar virtuosity of Mick Taylor, who lets rip with some stinging, filthy, psychedelic blues, which transcends the plane, the world, and lifts us up into the stratosphere, but also gives us a sense of the turbulence and nerves that Mayall must have been feeling at this point. But we do land in LA, and we shift the key up to A flat, which is an interesting thing because it gives us a sense of optimism and wide-eyed naivety, perhaps, that a man at 34 years old might have been feeling, immersing himself fully in the counterculture for the first time. It's a great shuffling blues. The cops are in their cars, but they never bother me. A new magic world where I've never felt so free, and I'm walking on sunset. Yeah, exactly. We get a stonking harmonica, what is it, a honking harmonica solo from John Mayall to close out the song. And then we drift into the third track, which is Laurel Canyon Home. And now we're in C major. And what I really love about this is the warmth of the song. We bring things right back down to a sense of being enclosed within this cabin. Maybe a fire's on, the guitars are out, with beautiful vibrato on the effect, some tremolo effect on Mick Taylor's guitar to give us that sense of warmth. And we're out into the countryside here, in a sense. Well, not in the countryside, it's Laurel Canyon, for goodness sake. But Mayall talks about, he wonders what First Nations people would have thought. It must have been just like when they first roamed the land. It's a lovely, warm track that then slowly fades out and segues into the next song, 2401, which might be the heaviest song on the album. And of course, for that, we need to go up to A. I was going to say E, but it's actually A. And this song documents him spending some time at Frank Zappa's place. What do we have in here? We have Gail, we have Miss Christine, Pauline, Moon Unit, all the mothers there. And what an amazing time that would have been, living at 2401. Brilliant slide playing in this one by Mick Taylor, more harmonica, and it's just a rollicking stomper that goes from start to finish. And Mayall lets those vocals just soar out of his mouth and onto the tape. Great job, great journey. We're at 2401. But hanging out with Frank and the mothers and everybody else is only so good for so long, because John now wants to immerse himself, I think I've put that delicately enough, into the free love aspect of the 1960s. And he does that in a song called Ready to Ride. Yeah. And he gives us a slow sort of Chicago style blues here, featuring a great harmonica solo and some wonderful lyrics. I've waited a long time to get my loving done. There's so much beauty around here that I'm bound to find me one. And I say, baby, don't you run, you can't hide. My love is boiling over, 'cause right now I'm ready to ride. And maybe he should have thought about that boiling over business, because occasionally when things boil over, maybe there's a few germs left behind. And if that's the case, then you need to visit the medicine man. And that's exactly where John goes on the next song, to the medicine man. He had a bit of bad luck, something he would never plan. So he's off to the medicine man. What really sets this song apart is the use of sort of Native American drum sounds to underpin everything from Colin Allen. Absolutely wonderful. He gives us a sense of movement, a sense of dance, a sense of chanting, a sense of being around the fire, and which sort of offers a counterpoint to a visit to the clinician. Um, it's a beautiful song, more harmonica in here as well. Absolutely love it. And from there, there's been an argument, and I don't know whether it was the person that John hooked up with in Ready to Ride and then had to deal with the dose in Medicine Man. But the next song is Somebody's Acting Like a Child, going into D flat now. And this song really features a couple of things I absolutely adore. The first is Stephen Thompson's funky, groovy bass playing, which just drives everything along so beautifully. Beautiful vocals, great vocals. And then we finish with a magnificent guitar solo by Mick Taylor. I know this solo back to front. I've listened to it a million times. I can imagine them jamming on this song for hours in concert. Unfortunately, we only get 3 minutes 27 of it here, and it fades away, which leaves us in suspense and waiting for us to flip over to side two. As we drop the needle onto side two, it's like we've been engulfed in a sound which is very familiar. And that's because I think it's a homage to Canned Heat and their song On the Road Again, which I think believes starts in E maybe, but then goes up to B flat. And the song is called The Bear. And it's about times when John Mayall was hanging out with the guys from Canned Heat. Um, the sun is shining down and the bear is rolling in the shade. It's a nice little flowing, sashaying song which shuffles along and gives us an instantly a good down home sort of feel to it. Love this song a lot. And once again, Mick Guitar Taylor. Surely that was his nickname. Mick Taylor comes out with a wonderful solo in the middle, before it's time for John to be moving on, because they call him Wandering John. And then we get back into the scene and we get into sort of a more jazzy number now in the key of F, and it's Miss James. And this really sort of harkens back to the pre Blues Breakers, jazzy blues type style days with people like Graham Bond, and I'm missing somebody here, can't remember his name, the Graham Bond organization. And it's a full-on jazz assault about John Mayall on the hunt for this person that he's only heard of, called Miss James. And I particularly like the stratospheric, I've used that twice now, that stratospheric delights that he gets out of his organ playing in this. It's one of the great organ solos that I've ever heard. It's pithy, it's to the point, but it gets angry and it sweeps around. It's tumultuous. It's absolutely incredible. Then that segues us down into the first time alone in the key of B, if my eyes are reading it right, in the key of B. And this is a very, very, very quiet song. And it's a beautiful piece of music. It's about the first time alone with Miss James. This song is probably one of the more famous songs on the album because it features on guest lead guitar Peter Green, and he plays incredibly quietly behind all of this. In fact, you almost have to stick your ear up to the speaker to be able to pick it up. And on one hand, I've sometimes thought that maybe Peter Green just popped in very quickly, had a little bit of a noodle over this song, and then got out of the studio after that. But on other times you listen and you see it's that delicacy, that heartache that Peter Green, maybe only Peter Green can really get out of a guitar. And he's really serving the song here. It's a gorgeous song. Peter Green aside, don't ignore the lyrics or ignore the lyrics at your own peril. I love this. There was nothing like the way time went by as we lay by the fire and the burning logs flickered flames that drew us close without a sound the first time alone. A beautiful song which brings us right down at this midpoint in the second side and ready for some excitement to erupt as we move on. To the key of E flat now, and it's Long Gone Midnight. And it sounds like things didn't end up too wonderfully well between Mr. Mayall and Miss James. It's a simmering, sultry little blues, which is just cooking and percolating the whole way until we get to the midsection and the solo. And Mick Taylor erupts with my favorite of his solos on this album. It just explodes out of nowhere, and there's one particular harmonic that he hits. Beep. Sorry, I love it so much. It must be one of the most boring things in the world to watch somebody sort of sing air guitar, but still, it's an absolute killer song. And the band then swells in at the end with the organ. Steve Thompson's bass is always on fire. And don't ignore as well, pay attention at the end of the song to what Colin Allen is doing on the hi-hats and to just tinkle along towards the last song. And the last song on the album in the key of D is Fly Tomorrow. And this is the song about leaving LA and going back to London. Once again, it starts off with sort of a tribute to the indigenous people of America and their tribal chanting and drumming, with some bongos and that sense of movement. The guitar is heavily vibratoed. The tremolo plays to give us that sense. Again, I often think it's like that idea of flickering flames, and it's almost that strobe light effect you get on it. And this is a slow burn all the way from the beginning right up into the time when he's in his plane and he says he's going to be way up in the sky. What's the line he says here? Living back home is going to be so strange. Um, Halfway through the song, Mick takes off with another guitar solo. Absolutely beautiful. The last thing that he'd play with John Mayall, which is kind of a pity, but he did go on to other things. I'm not sure they're better, but they're definitely bigger. And then there's this fade out, gradual fade out all the way until we get to the end of the song. So we go from these high, tumultuous moments of jamming and psychedelic blues to finally we're back just down to harmonics on the guitar, some organ, some casual, leathery bass, and beautiful percussion to take us out of the second side. Fantastic. I was only fortunate enough to see John Mayall once in my lifetime, or in his lifetime. I'm sure it was a memorable experience for him. And that was at Selena's Coogee Bay in Sydney. And not only was it a vivid memory because of seeing The Godfather on stage, but he was also flanked by a couple of astonishing guitarists, Coco Montoya and Walter Trout. I remember Trout just using his delay pedal and his whammy bar just to send these incredible solos up into the sky, where Coco Montoya aimed his directly at the heart. And both of these vectors, whether to be upwards or to the heart, were so direct and so strong, it was like you could hang your washing on them. An unbelievable experience. And no, they did not play any songs from Blues from Laurel Canyon. And even worse luck, on the way home, driving along in my VW Beetle, we hit a cat. No good. But that's the blues, I suppose. That be the blues. Anyway, I said I said at the start of the video I was going to tell you my top 5 John Mayall albums, and they're in the order of the ones that I play the most, my favorites, not in the order of the ones that I think are the best, but maybe they're the best for me because I play them the most. And number 5 is the Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton album. Maybe it's only at number 5 because I've heard it too many times and I've sort of gone a little bit cold on it, but it still has the ability to thrill, and any album that's got Stepping Out on it, for me, is worth the price of admission alone. Number 4 is the album preceding Blues from Laurel Canyon, and that's Bare Wires, with the Bare Wire suite all over side A. And I love the songs on side B as well, particularly No Reply and Sandy. They're just winners for me in every way, shape, or form. Number 3 is Hard Road, and well, one can tell here that that's primarily because I will almost buy anything that Peter Green will play on and love everything he has ever played. Not a huge fan of The End of the Game, but you had me at the supernatural Peter Green. What an astonishing guitar instrumental that is. Number 2 we're up to, and that is the Turning Point, the album after Blues from Laurel Canyon. And we still have Stephen Thompson, I think, still on bass duties, but there's no drummer anymore. And this is an album that was recorded live. And right from the start, with The Laws Must Change, we have a night, a concert just to enjoy. California, brilliant song, and it also has the always crowd pleasing Room to Move on it. Um, Wonderful, wonderful album, but none of them for me top the pleasure of listening to Blues from Laurel Canyon. And of course, if music of any size or shape gives you pleasure, then who am I to disagree with your opinion? I hope you've enjoyed being with me to go on this journey through Blues from Laurel Canyon, and to get a sense of the respect that I hold John Mayall in. And I hope that you've been listening to some John Mayall over the last week and enjoying the legacy that he has so wonderfully provided to us. Until next time, keep listening to that music, and bye now.